Welcome to video 2 of 3 where I show you how I create my Papiermark prints. I use a process called photo-lithography, which uses light-sensitive printing plates and relies on the fact that oil and water don't mix. This is a developed photolitho plate. Before being developed, a photolitho plate is covered completely on one side by a light-sensitive green emulsion. To put my image onto the photolitho plate, I first print my digital files onto a clear film or acetate. Then I place the two together and expose them to UV light in an exposure unit.
Then I use developing fluid on the plate, which washes away all the areas not covered by the film.
And voila! A photolitho plate has been developed and is ready to print.
Color mixing is integral to matching the banknotes as closely as possible, so I always bring the banknotes I'm working with into the studio. I very carefully compare my ink to the original banknote and only print a layer when I've matched the color as closely as I can. Photolitho plates are printed with oil-based ink, and it's at this time that the principle of oil and water not mixing comes into play. If I take my inky roller and roll over a dry metal plate, the ink will go everywhere. So I sponge the plate with water first. The emulsion left on my plate after developing is grease-loving, so it repels the water and accepts the oil-based ink. But the bare metal, on the other hand, isn't grease-loving and, when covered in water, will not accept the ink. This is how lithographers only ink their image area. Once I've finished sponging and rolling the plate, I dry the plate to keep my paper dry. From here, I carefully put my paper on the plate and run it through the press. The pressure from the printing press transfers the ink from my plate to the paper. It's very similar to how you can press a stamp at home, just with a lot more pressure. The inked paper is set aside to dry, and I begin sponging and rolling for the next print. I repeat the steps in this video for every single layer. Here's a rough time lapse to show how prints are slowly built over several layers of texture. I have to wait at least 3 days in between adding layers to allow the ink to fully dry. And as I get higher in layers, so around layer 4 or 5, I play it safe and wait a week.